Make yourself comfortable. If you have something around you that's potentially touching you, it's likely disrupting your energy. You can't relax all the way, so move it out of the way. Yeah. Let yourself feel free to relax your body completely. And then start the practice by first noticing your body here on the ground. Become sensitive to the feeling of being inside of your own body. Work to bring your attention inward. First, noticing the body. You may have a few last-minute fidgets to get out, a few adjustments to make. Make them now, and then commit to stillness. The body will have a chance to move soon, but for the next moments that we practice together, ask the body to stay completely silent. Once you bring the body to silence, take your attention now to your breath. The first process is to simply observe your breathing. Start to watch. Work to become the observer of yourself as you inhale, focusing from the beginning of an inhale to the end. Attempt to use this same awareness for the exhalations. Looking at the beginning of an exhale, work to keep the mind focused all the way to the end. Let your mind become more and more sensitive to its breathing self, to its own unique rhythm as the breath moves into the nose and out. Continue to watch your breath in this way as I give the instructions for our first practice. Interrupted inhalations and interrupted exhalations. Remembering throughout our practice that the lungs expand in a 360-degree as you move through the practice. Focus on using the entire lungs, expanding the circumference of the lungs, which should then expand the circumference of the rib cage. The first part of the practice will be interrupted inhalation. The instructions go like this. Imagine that you break the upper body into 3 parts. Beginning at the belly button, the first portion is the belly button to the bottom of the rib cage. The second portion is the bottom of the rib cage to the center of the sternum bone, the center of the chest. And the third portion is from the center of the chest to the collarbones. First, identify these 3 areas in your own body. Become sensitive to them. The 3 areas, again, are from the belly button to the bottom of the rib cage, from the bottom of the rib cage to the center of the chest, from the center of the chest to the collarbones. When I give the instruction, I'll ask you all to exhale together, and then we'll begin the process of interrupting the inhalations. The first step will go like this. I'll ask you to inhale without exhaling you'll first inhale from the belly button to the bottom of the ribs and then pause. Next, you'll inhale from the bottom of the ribs to the center of the chest and pause. Without exhaling, you'll finally inhale from the center of the chest to the collarbones. You'll pause at the top of the inhalation, and then in our first cycle, you'll let the breath leave the nose in its natural way, working just in the beginning to interrupt the inhales as you search to use the entire capacity of the lungs. Relax everywhere else. Relax your eyes. Let your tongue sink into the back of the throat. Let the skin of the face feel soft. Bring all your energy, awareness, and attention just to the feeling of the breath. After your next inhalation, take a full and complete exhale, preparing for the process. Let the lungs empty completely, and then begin this movement of inhaling, first from the belly button to the bottom of the rib cage, and then pause. From the bottom of the rib cage to the center of the chest, and then pause. Continue the inhalation from the center of the chest all the way to the collarbones, a final pause at the top of the inhale, and then a smooth, relaxed exhalation. Use your own unique cycle of breath now to move from one interrupted inhale to the next. Work to make your mind completely focused on this process as you break the inhalation up into 3 parts, from the belly button to the bottom ribs to the center chest, the center chest to the collarbones, followed by smooth, natural exhalations. Keeping the eyes relaxed, the tongue soft. As you breathe in this way, imagine that the entire rib cage flares out. Broadening across the whole circumference of the torso, the back of the body, the sides, and the front. Work to use the entire lungs on the right and the left side. Imagining that you inflate them from the very bottom of the lung all the way to the top. Systematically, you move, inhaling from the belly button to the bottom ribs, a pause. Inhaling from the bottom ribs to the center chest, followed by a pause. Inhaling from the center of the chest to the collarbones, another pause here, and then a smooth, relaxed exhalation. Let the pauses be brief. As you pause between the 3 spaces in the body, don't grip or hold tension. It's not holding the breath. It's just a gentle break between the movement of the inhalation as the 2 lungs fill entirely. Work to keep the body relaxed and the mind focused. Check in with yourself now, noticing where your mind is, if it's present in the body and with the breath or not. If distraction has come, simply acknowledge it and return your awareness back to the practice. Smooth, relaxed exhalations, deep, full, interrupted inhales as you fill the lungs from the bottom to the top. Inhaling from the belly button to the bottom ribs. Pause. The bottom ribs to the center of the chest. Pause. The center of the chest to the collarbones. Pause. Smooth, relaxed exhalations. As you breathe in this way, make a conscious effort to keep the mind present inside the body, ever aware of tension or stress that may creep in, acknowledging that tension and stress are natural byproducts of focus in the beginning. Work to relax. Complete 2 more cycles of breath in this way. Smooth, natural exhalations, followed by interrupted inhalations as you breathe in from the belly button to the bottom ribs to the center chest to the collarbones. After your second breath cycle, let go of control of the breath. Release the effort. Rest in stillness. Continuing the process now, we'll move from the inhalation to the exhalation. The instructions remain essentially the same, only it's the exhale now that you'll be interrupting. Listen to the instructions first, and I'll ask you to start all together. We'll begin with an exhale, and then I'll ask you to inhale fully, a deep inhalation using the lung capacity to its maximum, and then I'll ask you to exhale, but you'll be exhaling the same way that you inhaled, so still in these 3 parts of the body. I'll ask you to first exhale from the belly button to the bottom of the rib cage, and then pause. Then I'll ask you to exhale from the bottom of the rib cage to the center of the chest, pause. And lastly, exhale from the center of the chest to the collarbones. A small pause before you repeat with a full inhalation, followed by another round of interrupted exhalations. Begin first by emptying the lungs completely. A slow, long exhale, followed by a deep, full inhalation as you fill the lungs to their capacity. Then begin the process of interrupting the exhale, first pushing the breath from the bottom of the lungs, the belly button, to the bottom of the rib cage, then pause. Next, exhaling from the bottom of the rib cage to the center of the chest, a pause. Finally, exhale from the center of the chest to the collarbones, a final pause, and then a deep, full inhalation. And then you repeat the process at your own pace. Inhaling, working to let the inhalation fill the lungs completely. Exhaling, interrupting the exhalation in this way. Imagining that you're exhaling from the lungs just like you would be getting the last bit of toothpaste from a toothpaste tube. Squeezing it slowly from the bottom to the top. As you breathe in this way, keep the face relaxed, especially the eyes, the tongue. Release the energy in those parts of the body and then direct it towards the attention to the breath. Full inhalations, not so full they bring stress to the body or the mind, followed by interrupted exhalations, emptying the lungs from the belly button to the bottom rib cage, the bottom rib cage to the center chest to the collarbones. As you breathe in this way, you may experience distraction. That's normal. If you notice the mind has wandered, simply acknowledge it and gently return it to its focus on the breath. Inhaling, filling the lungs to capacity as you inflate the entire circumference of the upper body. Exhaling, interrupting the process of exhalation as you work to empty the lungs systematically from the bottom to the top. Take 2 more cycles of breath in this way. Full inhales followed by interrupted exhales. And after the second exhalation, return the breath to normal. Once you return the breath to normal, keep the mind present with the experience of breathing. Keep the body relaxed. Listen to the final instructions for this practice. Now we're going to combine the 2 processes. interrupting the inhalations and the exhalations in one breath cycle. You may find that the process of doing the interrupted inhale and exhale together can cause a little bit of fatigue or tension in the body. If that's the case for you, between each cycle, take a few resting breaths before repeating. Otherwise, you'll move from one cycle of breath to the next, but only as long as you can keep the body and the mind relaxed. The process will go beginning with an exhale. You'll start to interrupt the inhalations, imagining these three portions of the body from the belly button to the collarbones. At the top of the inhale, after a brief pause, you'll then interrupt the exhalations, again moving from the bottom of the lungs to the top. If you haven't begun already, begin first now with a deep exhale through the nose, emptying the lungs completely. Start the process of interrupting the inhalation as you imagine you inflate the body from the belly button to the bottom ribs to the center of the chest to the collarbones. A short pause before you then reverse the order, exhaling from the belly button to the bottom ribs, from the bottom ribs to the center chest, from the center chest to the collarbones. Take note if tension or stress has crept into the body, and if it has, give yourself a few resting breaths between cycles. And otherwise, when you feel ready, you simply repeat the process using your own unique breath cycle as you interrupt the inhalations, following with interrupting the exhales. And as you breathe in this way, attempt to feel the breath in the back of the body and the sides of the body, as well as the front. Make an effort to imagine that as the lungs expand, they push outwardly in all directions, creating expansion in the chest and the torso as well. As you breathe in this way, work to keep the eyes soft, the tongue free from tension, the mind from wandering. Complete 2 more breath cycles. 2 more interrupted inhalations, followed by 2 more interrupted exhalations. And once you finish your second exhale, on an inhale, return the breath to normal. Once the breath has returned to normal, let go of control. Still practicing being the observer as you watch the breath. Let your eyes blink open. once your eyes open, keep your vision soft and relaxed. No need to really look outward. Simply be awake inside of your body right now and notice how you feel. Work to resist no sensation, no feeling. Simply bring a level of awareness to how you feel right now. Any emotion, thought, sensation in the body. Don't work to explain anything you do or even don't feel. Just simply be aware with no point or purpose other than the act of awareness itself.